KY3's Paula Morehouse has been at the scene for a while now. Paula, what do you know now?
Lisa and Steve, police have confirmed that 10-year-old Haley Owens was indeed abducted by a stranger here on West Lombard. We have a picture of her. We're going to put it up and show you, give her a description because police want your help tonight. Again, her name is Haley Owens. She is 10 years old. She is about 5 feet tall, 90 pounds, long brownish blonde hair. She was wearing blue jeans, a top, don't know the color, but a top and flip-flops. This happened about 10 to 5 this evening. A man driving a gold Ford Ranger pickup came to this neighborhood, snatched that 10-year-old little girl and drove away. Here's a description of that, or possible plate numbers for that pickup. 1YF 454, or it's off by one letter, 1YS 454. Police want you to be on the lookout for that. Again, it's a gold Ford pickup, a smaller version. That is who they believe abducted little 10-year-old Haley Owens. When we have more information, we will certainly update it online and tonight during our newscast. Lisa and Steve.
Paula Morehouse for us tonight. Paula, thanks so much.
I've seen people on the news all the time, with missing kids and everything, and I'm like, that's never going to happen to me.
We're processing multiple crime scenes at this point.
It all came crashing down after 2 days and nights of police updates and news reports about her daughter's murder.
I do want to announce today that we have charged Craig Michael Wood, 45 of Springfield, with the tragic murder of Haley Owens.
I just fell on the floor. I was like, beside myself. My husband came around the corner and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, you don't want to see this.
Stacy says Haley was on her way to see her best friend at school, halfway between their homes, as they do every day, when she was kidnapped.
She thinks it's her fault because she didn't meet her all the way. They went a little bit further down. Oh. And that's when it happened.
And it was the one day Stacy did not go out with her.
It's a nice day and she's meeting you and nothing's going to happen, I guess I should have let my guard down.
Stacy's biggest struggle is how and why and when her daughter's accused murderer targeted Haley.
Why do they go after little kids or anything like that? Mind their own business.
Stacy Owens says she feels the sea of sympathy flowing to her from almost around the world while holding on to her faith and 10 years with Haley.
She's fine.
She's fine.
In heaven with angel wings.
After an emotional week, one that started with a brief glimmer of hope, only to be followed by heartache, more than 10,000 people filled the streets in downtown Springfield tonight for a candlelight vigil in memory of 10-year-old Haley Owens. KY3's Jahan Sheikh has more on the emotional night from Commercial Street.
Marching to honor a little girl's life that was cut short.
Haley, 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 Haley.
Haley Owens was on the minds of family members and strangers, a community coming together to show the Owens family their support.
I'm really proud of our community because we can come together for something like this to honor a little girl that most of us don't even know.
Number 1, on air, online, on the go. KY3 News at 6 starts with breaking news.
I'm Emily Wood. Breaking news right now. A plane crash in northeast Springfield near Pythian and Glenstone. That is right by Evangel University. And we are showing you a live look right now at the crash site. Traffic is blocked off there as emergency crews rush to the scene. This all unfolding right now. We are told the small plane went down very close to the downtown airport, of course, in that part of town. KY3 photojournalist Cody Nutt is live with us on the phone. He is there at the scene. Cody, what are you seeing right now?
Hi, Emily. Right now I'm at the corner of Pythian and Delaware. Police have blocked us off. You can see in the shot here, there's a small, looks like a single-engine plane. It is in a heavily wooded area in between a couple of houses. I can't really get a shot of it right now, but there is an elementary school playground here just on the south side across the street, so not very far from where the plane has landed. Numerous police, fire, ambulances are here.
Mike.
We are actually here off Pythian Street near Evangel University. You can see right behind me, this is the crash right behind there. Amazingly, did not actually hit any houses. We're told that that plane had either taken off or was landing at the downtown airport. And something happened, as you can see right there. That is the wreckage. There are lots of tree limbs down. Apparently that plane struck several different trees coming down through there. Now, we have heard reports that a couple people on the plane were walking around, made it out safely, but there were still some people inside that plane. As you can see, there are individuals, firefighters trying to get into that scene right there. You can probably see some of those flashlights as they're trying to get in. So we're not sure if there are still people trapped inside or not, or if they've made them out, but they are still searching that wreckage there right now.
Number 1, on air, online, on the go. KY3 News at 10 starts with breaking news.
I just heard this like loud explosion.
It shook the whole house, and I instantly come outside.
It's just the landing right in between the houses.
Talk about a close call for a neighborhood near a major Springfield university after a plane makes a crash landing. We begin our team coverage now with KY3's Mike Landis on the scene since the story first broke. Mike, what are you learning tonight?
Emily, it's the same story over and over again from neighbors and people on the scene. They heard the plane coming in, they heard it crash, and so they ran outside expecting the very worst. And as you can imagine, the very thought of a plane crashing in the middle of Springfield, you're going to think of the worst case scenario. This here behind me is what remains of this small 6-seater aircraft. It was a Piper Saratoga. We'll put a picture up here in a moment of a plane similar to this to give you an idea of what this looked like. You can see the fuselage, what's left of it, and also toward the front you clearly see the propeller sticking out. All in this little grove of trees right here on this vacant lot right across from the Evangel University campus right here. Now, we can tell you that when we got on scene, witness told us there were 2 people from the plane that were actually outside walking around. They only had minor injuries. 2 people, though, inside the plane had to be extricated by firefighters. We saw them being taken away in ambulances. So they did have some kind of minor injuries, though police are not really specifying a whole lot tonight about their conditions at this hour. Of course, the plane did not catch fire, did not explode, so of course that was a very good thing when it came to the outcome of the passengers. FAA investigators are coming down from Kansas City tonight. They'll be looking through this wreckage in the coming hours and days, trying to find out exactly what happened. Now, as we mentioned, this being in the middle of Springfield, so many people saw this thing happen. That's where we pick up our team coverage tonight with our own Eric Hilt. Eric.
Mike, like you said, this is a residential area, and as you can imagine, neighbors are very startled at the fact a plane crash landed just hundreds of yards away from their homes. They said that they heard a very large, loud boom and something that sounded like a car backfiring right outside of their home or fireworks launching right in the area. Then they saw dozens of police and fire crews coming down the street, and that's when they figured out that something had happened. When they learned that something was a small plane crash landing in their neighborhood, they said they were absolutely stunned. Neighbors said that they never imagined they would see a scene like this in real life, let alone just down the street.
Very, very loud bang. It sounded like somebody loading a big dump truck with major big rocks. And then I didn't really think anything of it.
It scared me because there's so many houses around here and there's so many little kids around here. I didn't know who was on the plane, if they were hurt or if they'd hit a house and somebody possibly got hurt.
Now, neighbors say they are very thankful that nobody was killed in this crash and that the plane avoided all of the houses in the area. They said that is the most important thing that came out of this incident. For Mike Landis, I'm Eric Hilt, KY3 News.
And we do want to show you the path that Piper Saratoga took on its way back from Lee Summit near Kansas City late this afternoon. This dotted line right here, starting in Lee Summit and, of course, heading south towards Springfield, is the planned course of that flight, whereas the solid green line next to it, well, that's the actual path it took. You can see it followed its flight plan almost precisely before circling several times near the...
Around the weather, creating a life and death situation for 2 women in southwest Springfield this morning when their vehicle went sliding off a slick road and into that pond. Jahan Sheikh picks up the story for us tonight.
Ethan, it is very, very cold, extremely dangerous out here. The roads not good for driving. Lots of fender benders and accidents today because of bad weather. But a crash here at Scenic in Chesterfield nearly cost 2 women their life.
I stopped and looked, kind of peeked up, and I could see people waving their arms. And at first, your reaction was they're playing on the ice or something, but then, like, they're standing on a vehicle, and there's two of them. So you just realize their vehicle is slowly sinking.
It was anything but a normal Tuesday for Donovan Hensley. He spotted an SUV in the pond off Scenic and Chesterfield sinking fast. So fast, he jumped in to help.
And water got up to about right here on me, and I was pretty close to them, but remember grabbing their purses and throwing it up on the bank, and then just said one at a time, jump towards me. And so grabbed them and brought them out.
The driver of the car told us she and the passenger escaped through the windows of the SUV.
I'm so glad you're here. I thought I was going to have to go swimming.
Henry's driver, Randy McCafferty, responded to the accident. And because he couldn't retrieve the car himself, they called in a diver.
You're not going to beat the weather. You need to slow down. Make sure that you have your cell phone with you and your charger with you and all the necessities. And just take it as slow as you can, and you probably make it home okay.
As for Hensley, people are calling him a hero, but he says he just did the right thing.
I think that's the biggest overstatement of the day. Right place, right time. If you would have been driving by, you would have done the same thing.
The two passengers in the SUV were not injured, just cold and scared, as you can probably imagine. Now, we can't stress enough, if you do have to be out on the roads tonight, take it slow. Don't slam on those brakes. The roads are dangerous.
Boy, scary situation for sure. So fortunate that Donovan was there to save those ladies. Jahan Sheikh, live tonight in Springfield.
That snow started coming down fast this morning. KY3 weather expert Felicia Combs was out in the storm when the worst of it hit the Ozarks.
The wintry mix began early Tuesday morning, but is now coming to an end across most of the Ozarks. Road conditions deteriorated throughout the day as more snow fell, but a bad situation could have been much worse had MoDOT not been so prepared for this oncoming snowstorm.
We've had this break in January, about 3 weeks, where we really didn't have as much winter situations, cold temperatures, and that was a good help. This helps all kind of rejuvenate because December was a tough month. So, you know, we're ready. We're ready to take on this week. It looks like we'll have a few different events coming through, and we're going to be there.
MoDOT encouraged motorists to stay off the road. However, not a lot of people took heed to that warning. And with more snow in the forecast for the rest of this week, MoDOT is continuing to prepare for what's to come. In Springfield, I'm Felicia Combs for KY3 News.
And as we've seen, it is not easy to get around out there right now, and that goes for volunteers already facing a big job delivering meals to the elderly. Shayla Patrick continues our team coverage from Springfield tonight. Shayla?
Well, Emily, even in this weather, Meals on Wheels volunteers have to trudge up snow-covered steps and walkways to hand-deliver hot meals right to people's doors. Per Meals on Wheels policy, volunteers don't deliver when school is canceled in Springfield. But today, the people who donate their time to the organization wanted to come in anyway. Delivery drivers I spoke with say they were more worried about the clients they serve not being able to go out in the snow and get food for themselves.
It's as much of a caregiving and letting people know that there's people out there that care as the food. Sometimes I'd say the food's secondary to the personal contact.
We have a family. We just have a great time. And they are so dedicated to their volunteer duties. Some of them have done it as back in the 70s.
The Springfield Meals on Wheels program has about 12 drivers right now, but they're always in need of more, especially on Fridays. If you're interested in signing up and becoming a volunteer, you can call 417-269-4269. Reporting in Springfield, Shayla Patrick, KY3 News.
And we want to show you some viewer photos of this latest winter blast. Remember, you can post them anytime at ky3.com or through our free app on your smartphone. This first one comes from Friat, Arkansas, a good-looking snowy scene, kind of letterboxed for us, which is nice. The next one's a pretty shot here from Table Rock Lake near Eagle Rock. Don't want to be in that lake today, that's for sure. And this one is east of Springfield in Winona. Awfully snowy for the morning commute this morning, no doubt about that. Keep sending your pictures, and we may show them on the air all throughout the night.
And while you're sending those photos to us, you can also check out our website for those live weather cameras, 10 of them and all scattered across the Ozarks, showing those up to the second conditions for you. Also on our website, school closings anytime and a place to post your own business and group cancellations. Make sure you check that out, ky3.com.
Next,
KY3 Ozarks Today starts with breaking news.
Our top story, gunfire at a Springfield home and one person is dead.
Police have put up crime tape in the 1000 block of South Missouri near Grand. Kate Alt joins us live with what detectives are doing now to get some answers.
Well, they're starting to canvass the neighborhood. They started about a half an hour ago, kind of going on this side of the street, and now they're working their way behind me on the other side of the home, just popping in and asking neighbors what they've seen and heard. As you heard earlier this morning, I spoke to the neighbor that's directly to the right of the house where the incident happened, over on the far side here, and she tells me that she heard 4 gunshots just a little after 3:30 this morning, and she called 911, and that's when the police arrived on the scene. And Springfield police have confirmed that they made entry into the home and found a deceased person inside. Still not confirming if that was a male or a female. And they're continuing their investigation. The Criminal Investigation Division is the one that's going to be handling the investigation as we continue. As you can see, the crime scene tape is still up, and there are a few patrol cars still here on scene. But other than that, it's pretty quiet. Still not any neighbors up and about, and they're just kind of quietly making their way down the street, talking to people, knocking on doors, and seeing what they've heard. Live in Springfield, Kate Alt, KY3 News.
Kate, you talked to one neighbor, the person who called 911 after hearing the gunshots. Did they see any vehicle leaving the area?
She did not see any vehicles. She said that she heard the gunshots and heard screaming, called the police, and then stayed inside. She has 3 kids, so she stayed inside her home. She said she did see a few officers out and around the house, but nothing too much more than that.
Well, we had like a really rough landing. We were all like moving pretty close to the seats as we were landing. And so then they just came on and said that we had landed at the wrong runway.
Mistaken landing. More than 100 passengers bound for the Branson Airport wind up on the wrong runway just a few miles away. The latest in a live report from Hollister.
Number 1 in the Ozarks. This is KY3 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Paula Morehouse. We begin with breaking news tonight from Hollister. A Southwest Airlines 737 headed to the Branson Airport from Chicago landed by mistake tonight at the Taney County Airport. That's adjacent to College of the Ozarks. The landing happened a little after 6 p.m. There were 124 passengers and crew members on board. Although the runway is much shorter than one normally required, the plane managed to stop before the end of the runway, which overlooks Highway 65 there. Passengers described the smell of burning rubber in the cabin of the plane. Our KY3 Shayla Patrick joins us from the Taney County Airport. Shayla, all the passengers safe tonight?
Well, yes, all the passengers are safe tonight. They just got off the plane and got taken by shuttle buses back to the Branson Airport about an hour and a half ago. So all of them are very grateful and very safe, because from the passengers I talked to, they say the landing was very scary. It was such an abrupt landing. Some of them hit their knees on the seats in front of them and were leaning forward as the plane tried to stop with such a short runway. And they also smelled a very potent smell of burning rubber throughout the cabin. So it was a very scary time for passengers. Shortly after, they tell me the pilot came on and told them what happened, and they had to wait for a couple hours on the plane before they could get enough gear and stairs long enough to allow them to deplane and get on those shuttles and get back to the Branson Airport. A lot of passengers, though, that I talked to, I caught up with them at Branson. They weren't upset or they weren't angry. Some of them were just shaken up, a little scared, but most of them very grateful for their lives. This event wasn't only scary for the people on the plane, but a lot of people around town say it was scary too. Some folks who live near here came up to this airport in Taney County just to see what happened. They heard a rumbling as the plane landed. It shook some of their windows, and then a couple people have gathered here saying that they saw the tail of the Southwest plane. You might be able to see behind me. They saw that tail from the highway, so they knew that something was up and came up to check it out. So it was a very scary event for a lot of people involved and who live near the area, but everyone is thankful that they are safe and not hurt and able to get back to their family and friends or on to their next destination.
Well, we had like a really rough landing. We were all like moving pretty close to the seats as we were landing, because the runway, I guess, is too short for the plane. And so then they just came on and said that we had landed at the wrong runway.
So again, no one was hurt, and there were some pretty calm passengers, all things considered. The question now is how to get the plane off of this runway, which is going to be a challenge, I'm sure, as landing was hard enough, but how to get the plane back up in the air and back to where it needs to be off of this very abbreviated runway will be a question that we'll hope to find the answer to within the coming days. Paula?
Indeed, that question and how it ended up landing at that airport in the first place. Shayla Patrick reporting tonight from Taney County Airport in Hollister. Thank you.
Number 1 in the Ozarks. This is KY3 News at 5.
Are grounded.
A live report from a Taney County Airport where a jet full of passengers made a dramatic landing in the wrong place.
Good evening to you on this Monday. I'm Ethan Forhetz.
I'm Lisa Rose. A Southwest Airlines 737 that spent the night at the wrong airport in Taney County left the Ozarks this afternoon.
Yeah, it also left behind many questions about just how the jet packed with more than 100 passengers landed at the airport near the College of the Ozarks rather than its intended destination at the Branson Airport, which has a much larger runway, about 6 miles away from the original airport. 5 o'clock co-anchor Emily Wood has been at the Clark-Taney County Airport all day and has an update tonight.
It is an FAA violation to land at the wrong airport. That means both of those Southwest pilots will be on leave now. They are suspended pending an investigation as to why they landed here rather than at the Branson Airport 7 miles away. It was an historic takeoff for the M. Graham Clark Downtown Airport in Branson after a mistake landing here of a Southwest jet Sunday night.
We hit the runway really hard and really fast. We stopped, and then all of a sudden you just smelled like rubber really strong, like through the whole cabin, and we all looked at each other like something is not right.
The runway here is just more than 3,700 feet long compared to the 7,000 feet of runway 7 miles away where the jet was supposed to land.
We know that he or she used a lot of braking and left some skid marks. It appears as though the pilot did an outstanding job of controlling the airplane from touchdown to stop.
The pilots operating the plane hit the brakes at full power, just barely coming to a stop 300 feet from the end of the runway. Passengers were bussed across town to the correct airport, and this morning new pilots came in for the historic takeoff this afternoon, this time without passengers.
It'll be a different takeoff than a passenger would experience flying on Southwest. When we're flying commercially with passengers, we fly smoother, lighter, more gently.
Federal investigators will now be trying to determine why that jet full of passengers landed here rather than its intended destination several miles away.
For most who feel called to Haiti, it's simply a stirring to be used in whatever way they can.
It's been quite a journey so far.
Almost all the skills needed can be learned on site, whether it's painting, hammering, or just loving on orphans. But some who volunteer can bring an expertise.
Is it hurting all the time?
That's almost non-existent in Haiti.
I need to get this tooth out today if we can.
Many of the Haitians live on this mountain, so they walk many, many miles to get to this medical clinic, and you can see they all line up because today is a special day. There's not normally a dentist at this clinic, but there's one here this week, and she's been plenty busy.
Which two hurt the worst?
Julie Briggs closed up shop for a full week at her dental practice in Tennessee to be part of Springfield's Project Hope team.
Good girl.
Her so-called assistant for this trip, a friend of hers from high school who she lost touch with. Sonja Morgan had been to Haiti before and knew when she returned she needed to bring a dentist who had a heart for people.
You know, most people here have not seen a dentist or don't have access to one, so we're going to try to treat the emergencies first and get rid of anything that could potentially cause a problem long term, and then work our way down from that.
Dr. Briggs goes non-stop during her time here, working sun up to sundown, bringing relief for people who've just had to learn to live with the pain.
This young lady had a tooth that was broken off at the gums, so there was nothing above the gums, just a root in there, so it was abscessed. So we went on and got her numb, and we sort of worked the tooth out, and she did great.
In 6 days, she pulled 71 teeth and did checks on hundreds, working her way through orphanages.
She has to kind of deal with the pushing.
And villages.
There's a lot more needs here than what we can do while we're here. So this is kind of like also a good planning trip to see what we can do in the future.
A return trip already on the agenda. Plans to put her paying job on hold again to help those who cannot help themselves.
They don't have any dentists for that. You know, they have to pay a lot of money for that in Haiti, so they don't go.
Smiles and singing, something we didn't expect to find in the slums of Cebu City, where chasing bubbles is a fleeting moment to be a kid before hunger calls them back to reality. It's a hunt to find their next meal. Many on their own, under the blazing sun.
A lot of garbage, but since a lot of houses being built now.
It was a sight our cameras almost couldn't capture. We needed a guide to take us deep into Anayawan, past the stench seeping onto the streets. Where money is scarce and desperation is the driving force of survival. This is where our walk ends. Mountains of garbage and the scavengers picking through it, looking for food among the flies and rotting bags of filth. It's a painful rite of passage for children. Families slip through this hole in the fence every day to survive. Our guide, Mary Lou Candido, remembers wrapping food in paper and then burning it to kill bacteria before eating it, living off Cebu City's trash until she was 12 years old. Now she comes back to check on the neighborhood children. Marilu says a good day scavenging for hours to find plastic bottles and recyclables netted just $2. So exactly where are your donations going? Convoy of Hope uses part of that money to feed more than 100 children here in Anayawan, and the cost roughly $10 per month per child.
When you walk into a setting like the barangay that we were in today and you see the way these people live, part of your heart stays there when you leave, and you never forget it.
Convoy of Hope feeds tens of thousands of children in the Philippines. Your donations provide a hot meal every day, a simple serving of fortified rice, and full bellies mean better studying in school. But starvation isn't the only threat. Convoy's work with local churches has become a force to fight another danger: prostitution and child sex trafficking.
By us coming in and helping them and establishing this children's feeding program, it has given them the open door with the local government to come in and help rescue some of these girls from sexual predators.
In this area before,
Ami Labajo is that lifeline, a mentor for young girls living in the landfill.
Illegal drugs is very rampant. When someone comes to them, like offer them money or something, so since sometimes they get tired of like scavenging.
Predators target girls as young as 9 years old, tempting them with food, using their desperation against them.
Because of hunger, many people turn it the easy way.
Ami's work is part of her own healing process. She's a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
I was like them before, so I would really try to help them in a way that I could. I'm doing this for God and touching lives, so it's really like exciting.
Changing lives one meal and one child at a time for a brighter future.
The Royals are back on baseball's biggest stage after steamrolling through 3 rounds of playoffs to reach their first World Series since 1985.
KY3's Emily Woods live outside the K, where we are just about an hour or so away from first pitch.
Chills right now. I got to tell you, the fans are so pumped up. They're so thrilled that we're here covering this historic event. Obviously, though, there are only so many tickets to go around. Inside the K, 39,000 seats, and so those were snapped up pretty quick. They made some other tickets available standing room only, but those are selling for $1,000 plus. Pretty crazy, but after 29 years of frustration and waiting, it seems like no price is too high for these committed fans. Tickets are going for a lot more here than than they are over in California, I can tell you that. Now, that's for those who could get tickets. The rest are tailgating and just kind of watching it from out here, taking part in the energy, watching it on the big screen. There is an Ozarks contingency here who paid big bucks to be here, including Jenny Ham from Lake of the Ozarks.
We've been to the wild card game and the sweep game for the first series, and so now we're here, so we're really excited.
I already bought the tickets like 3 weeks ago, so I plan on them going. I'm behind them all the way.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It kind of gives you goosebumps, you know? It's nuts. Love it.
We've had all this frustration from Royals fans over the years about the payroll and trying to keep good players. We may have a young team, but it's amazing that our payroll here in Kansas City is some 50% lower than the Giants' payroll. So how's that for a matchup? Something else interesting we've learned from reports this week is that a lot of our Royals players are now living in hotels because their leases ran out in September. Who knew they would be here? They may not have known it back then, but let me tell you what, they're believing it now, and the entire town is believing them as well. Reporting live from the K, Emily Wood, KY3 News.
San Francisco, of course, in the World Series for the third time in 5 years. They won it all in 2010 and 2012, but we're hoping that the Royals are, of course, that team of destiny. The amazing run they've had so far in the postseason. Everybody talking about that. In fact, everywhere you go, they say it's the top story in America right now as far as sports is concerned. The Cinderella team, and the big question after 6 days off is, will the clock strike midnight tonight? But so far, it has been a great ride. Not only are the Royals making their first Fall Classic appearance in 29 years, but there are several other historical moments involved. The Royals are the first team to start a postseason with 8 consecutive wins without a loss, and it's only the second time in history that 2 teams that won less than 90 games are in the World Series, as KC won 89 during the regular season and San Francisco won 88. But these 2 wildcard teams are playing well when it counts.
They got a lot of championship players on that team that have been in this situation before, and they're kind of a similar team to us. You know, they were the underdog. No one really still counted them in, even though they won a couple championships. But we know it's going to be exciting. It's the World Series. It's not going to be easy. We know that. But we've been battling all year to be in this spot right now, so we're going to leave it all on the table and see what happens.
Big game James Shields will get the start for the Royals tonight. Madison Bumgarner will go for the Giants, who won both games against St. Louis that he pitched.
They saved their best for the end of the season, and they're going to be extremely, extremely tough.
Mr. Bumgarner, by the way, is a road warrior. He has not allowed a single run in the last 26 2/3 innings he's pitched away from San Francisco.
Celebrate the Ozarks with KY3. It's a summer celebration for you and me.
All right, good evening and welcome to beautiful Christian County, Missouri. One of the fastest growing communities and certainly the fastest growing county in the entire state of Missouri.
Speedboat racing across the Lake of the Ozarks. We are celebrating a summer of fun and a very big event right here on the water. Good evening from KY3 News. We are at the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yes, we are, and we brought the sound with us just to prove
we did.
it.
We're going to take you all over Webster County for the next hour, and they love to celebrate our nation's Independence Day in a big way, and here we are on the eve of the 4th of July. They also have a huge rodeo, and they got the rodeo stock ready to go for later tonight.
That's right.
Yes, we are celebrating the Ozarks from Green Forest and Carroll County, where liquid sunshine is in abundance. Hello, this is a special noontime edition of Friday's KY3 News at Noon, where we're celebrating a little gem right here in Carroll County. I'm Steve Grant.
And I'm Maria Nider. We had plans to be outside at the beautiful gazebo. Mother Nature had us change those plans, so now we're here inside the Country Rooster Restaurant.
Steve, Elisa, I know it's nice there at the rodeo, but I tell you, we could not ask for a nicer night to be out here to enjoy a little picking and grinning at a bluegrass festival at Starby Creek.
Yeah, it is the opening night, and Thursday night is the night that you have to be here because they have some big headliners performing here tonight. And
We are in downtown Ava celebrating the Ozarks. It's good to have you all here.
Yeah, good crowd. Good looking.
Couldn't ask for better weather.
Good looking bunch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're on the square, just off the square, less than a block away. You can see the bright neon sign for the Ava Drugstore. It's been a social place to get together for a long time. You can get your prescription filled there, and while you wait for that, you can get some coffee, ice cream, Cokes. for just 5 cents.
Oh my goodness. I told you these were lovely people here in Ava. Look what they have brought to us. A nickel ice cream cone. Where in the world could you get this anywhere?
That is fantastic.
Well, if you live in Nixa or if you don't live in Nixa, you know that Ozark is their huge rival. And of course, who better to elaborate on that than our KY3 Sports Director, Ned Reynolds.
There you go.
Back to you on the square there, Ned.
Ozark and Nixa, just the two names, foster great competition, and indeed between the two towns, and only, 4 or 5 miles apart, the rivalry is among the fiercest in the Ozarks. In football and basketball, baseball, you name it, Ozark versus Nixa is a great rivalry. Well, to celebrate that rivalry, we have devised several contests, the first of which we're going to find out in just a minute. We have gathered a young lady here from Ozark, and Chad Pline over in Nixa has his team assembled. Fire away, Chad.
All right, Ned, we have a pretty good team out here in Nixa representing the Eagles really well, and we'll go ahead and let you introduce yourselves. Who we have?
Ozark down here to the shores of the Findlay River. We're right across from the Iron Bridge and the mill there you can see in the background. And that's because we're going to be talking about the Sertoma Duck Race here in about 20 minutes or so. And we'll have some information on the ways that you can help a wonderful local charity.
Hey, Marie and Steve, we're here in a technology classroom at Green Forest, and middle school and high school students get to do really cool things in here, like work on an electric car. This car is under construction, not quite complete. Otherwise, I'd be in it driving it. And KY3's Drew Douglas caught up with another class, and they're exploring the use of drone technology.
At Green Forest High School in the East Initiative classroom, learning sounds like the drone of little electric motors.
It's a class, it's called Environmental and Spatial Technologies. That's what it's short for.
It's a technology class with an innovative approach. The students find ways to apply the technology, like using the drone to dabble in the aerial photography business. This approach ensures that as they enter the job force, the science and technology won't be over their heads.
You're looking live right now at the camera on this drone, and you're getting a chance to see Tom Schulteis and one of the students here in the classroom. This is the drone here, so they're getting to do some really cool things in this classroom. On my cue, start it up, fire it up, let's go. I'm gonna hold on to it, I'm not gonna let it go.
Good morning on this windy Friday morning.
A bit windy, yeah.
We are live here, and we're excited to bring you a closer look at Johnny Morris's Top of the Rock. He'd rather be fishing than sitting down for an interview, but I was fortunate enough to get a few minutes of his time and talk to him about his love of the Ozarks. He even painted, if you guys didn't know, a welcome sign for all of us here himself.
There, online, on the go. KY3 News at 5 starts now.
We are now able to confirm that we have in fact discovered a young female body.
A young girl snatched off the street near her Springfield home.
The man grabbed her and pulled her in the truck and sped off really fast.
Hours later, the child's body found inside this home. The accused killer, a longtime teacher's aide with Springfield Schools.
It makes me scared for her, knowing that his truck would pass her every morning.
People in the Ozarks and all across the country are shocked, sickened, and saddened by the kidnapping and murder of a 10-year-old girl in Springfield.
The first call of that kidnapping came in about 24 hours ago, then an all-out search for Haley Owens. We have team coverage tonight from the neighborhood where the kidnapping happened, the suspect's home, the school Haley attended, and the school in North Springfield where suspect Craig Wood worked as a teacher's aide.
This heartbreaking story began in Springfield last night near West Bypass and Grand. KY3's Paula Morehouse is there with the latest developments. Paula?
Ethan and Emily, this is certainly not the outcome anyone wanted, but we are starting to get some answers to the crime that was committed here on Lombard Street just about exactly 24 hours ago.
While she has not been positively identified, we have a high degree of confidence that it is our victim, Haley Owens.
It was the ending nobody wanted. 10-year-old Haley Owens' body was found inside the home of the suspected killer.
There's no connection we've been able to determine at this time at all between our victim and our suspect.
The suspect is 45-year-old Craig Wood. Police say he grabbed Haley while she was walking down Lombard Street shortly before 5 in the evening Tuesday night. By 8:30 p.m., officers arrested Wood, who was driving up to his home on Stanford Street.
He refused to talk and asked for an attorney once he was at headquarters.
Officers found Wood's home after talking to several witnesses who even chased after the suspect. They got the license plate number and a description of Wood.
Could have been the opposite, that no one had seen anything and we would still be looking and we wouldn't have a clue as to who did this.
Officers obtained a warrant to search the suspect's house around 2:25 in the morning. A cursory investigation led them to believe the young girl's body was inside. By 10:50 in the morning, they confirmed the worst. In addition to these two crime scenes, investigators were at a laundromat near National and Elm this morning. The attendant at the laundromat said FBI agents were looking at one particular washer and dryer and removing bags of evidence.
It's tragic, it's horrific, and in 30 plus years of law enforcement, I've dealt with a lot of things. No, I cannot specifically point to a case like this.
Back here live on Lombard Street, you are looking at flowers, teddy bears, and cards that people are dropping off in front of the witness's house. Two witnesses who, as you heard Chief Williams say, played a crucial role in breaking this case. There will be more developments tonight. In fact, within the next hour, the Greene County prosecutor is holding a news conference about the Haley Owens case. That happens at 5:45. KY3 will bring you that live. Reporting live in Springfield, Paula Morehouse, KY3 News.
Taking a look at this map, this is the neighborhood where Haley was snatched over on the west side, not far from West Bypass in Grand. Last night, police started watching Craig Wood's home. That's over here in a different part of town, the 1500 block of East Stanford, just north of Sunshine between Fremont and Glenstone. And officers were there when he pulled into the driveway last night. KY3's Shayla Patrick joins us live from the crime scene with the latest. Shayla.
Well, Emily, I'm here in the 1500 block of East Stanford, outside of Wood's home, and you can see the crime scene has been taken down, but the neighborhood is very much still in shock after learning less than 24 hours ago that their neighbor, Craig Wood, was arrested for murder in connection with the abduction of Haley Owen. Again, police have confirmed a body was found at this home where Wood was arrested, and they believe the body was Haley's. I've been here in this neighborhood all day as police, detectives, and FBI agents have been in and out of Wood's home processing the crime scene. As officials worked, neighbors gathered on their front lawns to look on and to comfort each other. Neighbors I spoke with described the area as a quiet street with older homes, some rentals, and lots of kids.
I was pretty shocked, very saddened, and it's one of those things you never expect. You know it goes on in the world, but you just don't expect it to be anyone that you've ever seen or met.
It's just heartbreaking, and I just, it's here in the neighborhood, and you want to come out and just make sure that you're safe. And it's just been a good opportunity to discuss with my daughter and reiterate all of the points that we've always taught her about talking with strangers.
I believe that that man has sealed his fate. He'll get what is coming to him in the end. People that do things to children reserve a special place for themselves, I feel.
Many neighbors I spoke with, including some who've lived here in this neighborhood for many years, say that they've never actually talked to Wood. Some have seen him come and go, but a lot of them have never actually had interactions with him. They say for the most part he kept to himself. Now I'll have much more on how this neighborhood is coping and reacting tonight at 6. Reporting live in Springfield, Shayla Patrick, KY3 News.
10-year-old Haley attended Westport Elementary School, and of course, students there having a difficult time processing how such an evil thing could happen to their classmate, their friend. Jahan Sheikh talked with the principal about how the school is helping students cope tonight. Jahan.
Ethan, the principal, along with everyone here at Westport Elementary, mourning the death of 10-year-old Haley Owens. She was just a 4th grader here. The principal sent out this letter to parents letting them know that extra support will be on hand for the next several days. I talked with a mom earlier today who went to go check on her kids. She said everyone inside the school still shocked. The students hard to grasp what happened to their classmates. School staff tell us that Haley was a well-liked, happy-go-lucky girl involved in extracurricular activities. It's definitely a sad day here at Westport, a sad day for Springfield. The principal says they will be here for the students this heartbreaking time.
Parents send their kids to us. It's their most precious gift. And our obligation as educators is to take care of those kids and do what's best for them. And, again, that's what we're called to do. And wavering from that is an injustice. So again, that's what we have to do, is take care of the kids, and that was our role today.
What are we going to have to do? Lock them in the house 24/7? Kids can't even go outside and play. When I was a kid, I used to go outside and play in the whole neighborhood. You can't do that no more.
We're told that the students worked on special art projects for the Owens family. There will be a vigil for Haley on Saturday night. It's planned to be on 8 o'clock on C Street to honor the life of Haley Owens.
All right, Jahan, for us tonight. Now, shockingly, the suspect in this case was a longtime employee with Springfield Public Schools. Craig Wood started working with the district back in the late 90s and was working as a teacher's aide at Pleasant View School. KY3's Linda Russell joins us from there with more on his record. Linda?
Craig Wood has actually been employed with Springfield Public Schools for about 15 years. His employment here at Pleasant View is now suspended. Now, he began working with the district in August of 1998 and was a temporary employee, including working as a substitute teacher. Now, Wood became a full-time employee in 2006. We're told he has worked as a teacher's aide and a coach here. It's not clear how long he's been at Pleasant View Elementary and Middle School. Today, the school sent an alert now message to families informing them about the situation. They had extra counselors on hand today, as well as a police presence at the school, as it is an ongoing investigation. The district sent out information about their background check process today, telling us the district goes above and beyond state-mandated checks with local, state, and national authorities. They also check with the Family Care Safety Registry, which collects information from more than a dozen agencies to find whether a potential employee may be unsuitable for work with children. Now, parents, of course, are terrified to learn that an alleged killer was working with their children every day.
I'm always warning my son about when we go right into town, you know, you need to watch this, stay beside me, don't wander off, stay right here. You never know what kind of weirdos are out there. And then for this to happen right here at his own school, I mean, I just can't believe it.
Now, we are told, as far as a criminal history, that Craig Wood only had a misdemeanor drug charge on his record about 20 years ago. We're told he was a Marshfield graduate. That classmates who contacted us told us he was voted most outspoken and class clown. He was also in the bluegrass band Uncle Fudd. Back to you.
All right, Linda Russell tonight. The kidnapping happened in broad daylight in front of witnesses. And it was those witnesses that were crucial to the police and the FBI investigation. Let's go back out to the scene now of the abduction. West Lombard Street in Springfield, and Ashley Reynolds, who spoke with a man who chased the kidnapper in his pickup truck.
It's simply a tragic story of a good Samaritan trying to do the right thing, but it just didn't work out. Ricky Riggins says he saw Haley Owens playing near his front yard. He heard the scuffle. Another neighbor, he says, yelled at Wood, "Don't touch her." Wood then reportedly sped off with Haley Owens. Riggins quickly followed in his car. He says he chased Wood a few blocks down Kansas near Grand, but because of the 5 o'clock traffic, he simply lost him. Riggins says he feels guilty and believes he was so close to saving this little girl.
I'm very sorry. I tried my hardest to try to keep up with the guy to find out what he was doing, but I wasn't able to. And I was just trying to do what I thought was right. And, I was hoping I have a niece and nephew, and if anything ever happened like that, I'd hope somebody would do the same thing,
And we should mention several neighbors played a role in this as he was chasing Wood. Apparently a neighbor also took down his license plate, and another neighbor called 911. We're live in Springfield. Ashley Reynolds, KY3 News.
All right. Thank you, Ashley.
When we come back, a check of the weather. Abby tells us when storms could head back to the Ozarks.
First, your weather school question tonight. Here it is. We'll have the answer and the forecast up next.
Sounds like some big changes on the way in the weather world.
Yeah, there certainly are. We had mild temperatures out there today. Despite the cloud cover, we still made it into the 60s today. Tonight we're going to be warm. In fact, some of you may wake up in the 60s tomorrow. But don't let it fool you. You need to bring the jacket with you tomorrow. A strong cold front comes through. By the time you leave work, you'll want it. Trust
Okay.
me. Yeah,
Okay.
the
Good
winds
to
are
know.
going to pick up and the temperatures are really going to fall. We'll spend most of the day in the 40s. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, some big changes. And there's already some rain on the radar. I'll show you Storm Tracker 3 right now. Most of it up toward Kansas City. That's where we have a thunderstorm. There's been some lightning detected in this. Here in the Ozarks, we've just had some light sprinkles, but the storm system not going for us yet. The low pressure system and the warm front still going to continue to bring some rain showers to us overnight tonight. Where we do have a thunderstorm, they're getting a nice little rain shaft moving through. We're going to continue to see heavy rain in some parts. White Oak getting ready to see some of the heavier rain. Right now in the Ozarks, well, just to the east of Hartville, we have some very light sprinkles, light rain just south of Mountain Grove and heading south into Douglas County. For the most part, though, we have been dry all day. We're going to see these showers pick up overnight tonight. And I did mention a slight risk for some stronger storms. That's going to be out in our north and west counties. This is a slight risk for severe weather, and the main concern here is hail with some of these thunderstorms. Not a tornado risk with this, but some of the storms could produce some hail up to 1 inch in diameter in many places. Here's satellite and radar, a loop, and notice that this is just now getting going. Some showers developed out in eastern Kansas, rolled up to the northeast. So the direction right now, generally north and east, that's going to hold true throughout the overnight hours tonight. We've had the clouds in place all day, but it's overnight tonight when that warm front lifts through. We start to increase the dew points, and we really see that low level moisture increase as we head into tomorrow morning. This is good news because we need the rain. Here comes the low pressure. This is tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the morning. Notice that the warm front lifting through. Our temperatures are actually going to be going up as we head throughout the overnight hours tonight. Low pressure moves almost directly overhead just to the northwest of Springfield tomorrow morning. This is 9 o'clock in the morning, and a cold front will follow that low pressure system. Windy conditions come along with this system as well, so we will see winds really pick up. They'll be strong out of the south tomorrow morning when you wake up, and then tomorrow afternoon behind the cold front, I think they're going to be strong out of the northwest. So an incredibly windy day all across the board. We do have a few more clouds rolling in for Friday, but the conditions look much better by then. Stockton Lake shows a lot of cloud cover. There's a storm north of that area. It's 58 degrees in Springfield right now, and dew points still only 25. So we'll see that increase big time later on when the warm front lifts through. Current temperatures still in the 60s in many locations. It's 59 right now in West Plains, 61 in Mountain Home, and 55 degrees the current temperature in Camdenton. Overnight tonight, these temperatures, they're not going to move much. Notice throughout the overnight hours through 1 a.m. we could only fall a couple of degrees, and as I already mentioned, we're going to hit these low temps about midnight. Warm front lifts through, and we actually see an increase in those temperatures. Storm chances best after dark tonight and early tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow as the front moves through, that's when we'll see some scattered showers and thunderstorms as well. I already mentioned a drastically cooler afternoon tomorrow than what we had out there today. Sharply colder, so remember the coat as you walk out the door tomorrow morning. You're going to want it. This is 3 o'clock in the morning tonight. Notice that temperatures are going to continue to increase. In fact, many of you will wake up in the 60s. It's going to feel really muggy when you wake up tomorrow. Cold front, it's a strong one. It's going to drop our temperatures and bring kind of a nasty wind with it, with gusts over 30 miles an hour possible. A wind advisory could be in place as well, and also some wind damage is possible with some of those stronger storms. 52 tonight in Springfield, 54 in northern Arkansas. Tomorrow afternoon, you're looking at high temps in the 60s. Again, this is a bit deceiving because you'll spend most of the day in the 40s. The 7-day forecast shows you slightly cooler temperatures as we end the work week, and cooler yet as we start next work week. We're going to continue to see temperatures that fall into the 20s by the end of the week. Temperatures tonight are going to be mild. Another look at that weather school question for the day. The chances are you tend to stay awake longer when the air pressure is 30 inches of mercury is the magic number. For whatever reason, you move either direction and it gets worse. You get more tired.
All right, thanks, Dad. A huge day today in the Winter Olympic Games in Sochi.
Yeah, Springfield figure skater Gracie Gold taking to the ice today for her short program. And we're going to put the results on the screen after the short program, so look away if you don't want to know yet.
That's right. Everything will be in prime time. All the action will be in prime time tonight on KY3. So don't look now if you want to watch in prime time and not know the result ahead of time. If you do want to know the result, look at your screen and you'll see it.
All right, we're going to take it away. Come back to the screen now. We have the big watch party tonight for Gracie Gold at Mediacom Ice Park starting at 7, going until 10:30. You can also meet local Olympians there, and we will be there as well. You can skate for just $3. That price does include your skate rental. We'll check on some other news of the day when we come back. Charges tonight in a shooting in North Springfield. Charles Frederick is accused of domestic assault and armed criminal action. A woman was seriously injured during an argument with Frederick. Springfield police say it happened at a home on 8th and Waverly. That's just south of Evangel. Frederick is in the Greene County Jail tonight. An update now on a story we first brought you earlier this week.
A father is now charged in the case of an 11-year-old girl taken near her school in Marionville. You remember this from earlier the week. This man, 45-year-old Andrew Smith, is now charged with child endangerment and interference with custody. Smith's brother Oliver is also charged in the case. A probable cause statement from the Aurora Marionville Police Department says the Smith brothers put this girl, Danielle Smith, into a car early Monday morning near her school. Police say her little brother also got into that car. Investigators say Andrew and Oliver Smith dropped the boy off at Marionville Elementary, but then drove to Oklahoma with Danielle. Police arrested both Andrew Smith and Oliver Smith in different locations in Oklahoma.
When we come back, more on the kidnapping and murder of 10-year-old Haley Owens. An all-out search for 10-year-old Haley Owens ended this morning when police found the child's body inside the home of a Springfield teacher's aide. Police were waiting at his home when he arrived last night.
He drove up in the truck as officers were watching the residence. Investigators contacted him, had a brief discussion, and he actually agreed to accompany them to headquarters for questioning regarding this potential crime. My understanding is he refused to talk and asked for an attorney once he was at headquarters. We're conducting surveillance on a couple locations. That was one of them.
So it was the license plate that led you to him?
It was.
This man, Craig Wood, is now in jail, and we are expecting charges within the next hour. We have been in contact with Haley's family. They sent us some pictures of the 10-year-old.
Haley's aunt tells us she was an outgoing child who had a special gift for cheering people up when they were down. And as you can see here in these photos, she had a big smile, and they say that's what they'll remember most about Haley.
And I know, Emily, that you spoke with Haley's father today. I can't imagine what he's going through.
He didn't have much to say, as you can imagine, just some very heartfelt words saying how much he loved his little girl and that he misses her.
Imagine the heartbreak of a father. Well, a lot of heavy hearts in the Ozarks tonight. Be sure to stay with KY3 on the air and online for continuing coverage of the abduction of Haley Owens.
We will have an update for you tonight at 5:45 when we're expecting more information from county prosecutors. We will bring that to you live, and we'll have more on KY3 News at 6. See you then.